I was standing outside in the backyard with a dog-sitting client, and this normally well-mannered, well-behaved large dog jumped up on me, scratched my chest, and like a bullseye target, removed a black tourmaline necklace that I had been wearing for protection throughout my spiritual awakening journey. It was symbolic. Something was going on that defied my ability to understand it. And I couldn't find the tourmaline piece. I looked and looked in the grass, and it was nowhere to be found. Like it had just vanished right outside of thin air. The only other time that something would happen to this necklace would be when I would experience a very severe disruption in my life, a death experience. Some would call it a near-death experience. I would later go on to call it an after-death experience, where the necklace itself cracked on the back, like a Harry Potter scar, emerged from the stone as if it was holding this energy and just split from the force of it. During the most intense part of my dark night of the soul, you know how most people don't talk about it? It's because for some of us it is insane and intense, and nobody would believe us if we openly discussed it in the world we awakened from, particularly in materialist, reductionist societies. When I was in the backyard with the dog-sitting client and I lost the necklace, a voice came to me shortly thereafter. And this voice was not like a neighbor talking to me in a neighboring yard. It was not even a whisper, as if somebody was standing over my shoulder. It was like this voice came to me from beyond the structure of reality that I was operating in, almost as though it was being projected from another realm, another dimension, another something, because the way it came to me was like it layered on top of my world with this feeling that it was beyond. And I had quote, telepathic communication as part of my awakening experience, but this was even more distant, even more distal. And this voice said something to me that would change the way I saw the world forever. It said, "Why are you bleep around with my lower self?" What? What are you talking about? I thought. Because at that time, I had experienced a version of an ex-partner that was terrifying me, relentlessly pursuing me, no matter where I was at, what I was doing. And my expectation was that there was only one version of them, just like my expectation was, and perhaps yours, that you only have one version of your friends and your family, one version of your life, obviously, right? When you come from a society that entrains you to believe, conditions you, circumstantially, it doesn't have to be intentional, but it could be both, depending on your framework of understanding and how you perceive the holders of that society to be operating on your behalf. And if you are operating from the perspective that the quote-unquote holders of that society are benevolent, malevolent, then culture itself can raise some interesting questions. If everything you once believed could be questioned, then couldn't it also be questionable that the one world, one life, one wife, one family, one version is different? It's just a question. I don't have any answers here, but I do have some opinions, and I do have some observations. We're not going to get into all of those in this episode, but stay tuned, because it will be a slow unfolding unless you're in my EC by Dr. C private playlist, where I go into it much faster and give you tools on how to shift into another version of your reality, where you might have different friends and family waiting for you. The connection of a lifetime that you've always wanted. The version of your life you dream of, you visualize of. But let us talk about going alone. When I heard, don't, or why are you bleep, with my lower self, it shook me. It really, really shook me, because first of all, there was a voice from an observer that saw me, where I was at, what I was doing, and who I was corresponding with. And they were communicating to me in some form and fashion. Whether or not you believe it is not so important right now. But they, and I know some of you do, but some of you may not yet, and that's okay. You don't have to. I'm not asking you to. But my experience was this illumination that I had options. If you could turn back time, and this is what retro causality and revision techniques teach. If you could turn back time and select and load a different version of your friend, your family, your ex, your child, your spouse, what version would you load? When we are raised to believe that there is only one version, it creates this desire, I find, to not want to leave people, to not want to abandon them. And so we wait. Sometimes we wait with them very close, and sometimes we keep our distance, especially when we begin to really, quote, do the work. There's a sort of patience that is required It reminds me of some of the books that I've read about people in Buddhism. When they die and they go and they experience the other realms and they traverse through like the hell-like realm, and they're seeing people like gnashing their teeth and suffering, and all they want to do is to take their suffering away and release them from this prison experience. I think to myself, why are they there, first of all? Can we not do it better? I mean, if we're really going for reform, then why do we need to lock people away into a hellish existence unless we're trying to teach them something? And if we're trying to teach them something, then why would we want to release them prematurely? Who makes these rules? Question everything, they say, except some of the world's most dominant religions, apparently. Just kidding, I love Buddhism, and I'm a big fan. I find that there are a lot of teachings that resonate with me, but then there are others that seem like, if the point is to escape dualism, then why is there a hell? That is, in effect, a polarity. And why is there a land of deities, heaven-like existence, and humans are located right in the middle, trapped even, if you distill down the teachings, we're trapped, according to Buddhism, until we reach a certain threshold of enlightenment. And I'm not a scholar, nor a follower of Buddhism, so I'm not your source here. This is my understanding distilled down into bite-sized nuggets. And so we're faced with this choice: expand, enlighten, or go to a beast realm. Sounds pretty hellish. Go to hungry ghost realm. Also sounds pretty hellish. To never be satiated. Always have hunger. Like you just can't get enough. Like this parasite inside of you, just driving you to eat and consume and acquire and devastate. Like you're helpless. If we're really teaching self-mastery, why would there be any sort of affliction like that? And so when we are primed, conditioned to believe that there is only one life, and you better do it right, or else you're going to some version of heaven or hell. And different religions have their own forms of it. I grew up Christian, and I was terrified of hell. It creates this need to go out and colonize. Gotta go save people. Gotta go and teach them the word of God, because they're gonna go to hell if we don't. And we really believe that missionary work is incredibly important. And we also believe that our way is the only way. Everybody else is, well, they're a cult. If they don't follow our path. That in of itself creates division in what is supposed to be this beautiful representation of Christ consciousness. I happen to be a fan of the Old Testament. I believe that God softened his approach probably as a way to rework his leadership and his creation, try to do it differently. But I think that when you are sending a beautiful son into a society that hangs him up on a cross and tortures him and starves him because their level of sentience and intelligence is such that they can't hold duality in their mind. They can't hold the contradictions of what it means to be a human. And they can't parse things at a more broad level. It's not their fault. They're just still in preschool relative to where humans would evolve into. So it's like seeing a magician on stage, pulling a rabbit out of the hat, and then being angry at the magician for ending the show, for taking a break, for revealing the sleight of hand. Not that Jesus was a magician at all. I'm not insinuating that. I believe that he was quite powerful, and I believe the miracles because I believe that we're in a simulation, personally. And that he was cued into recoding the simulation at that time. Forgive me if you're not there, and you don't have to get there, but it's an intriguing perspective. And so people at that time couldn't take in the whole of him, and their barbaric acts were reasonable to them. That's how you punished people. That's how you taught people. And so putting God's son up on a cross, treating him like that, I believe that the Old Testament techniques were understandable as a result. And that a firm hand was understandable. But we've moved into a different era of gentle parenting. And we're raising children differently, including large swaths of populations of people. And of course, there are some that are lagging behind, but I believe that it's time to upgrade our leadership and our realms after death. Because if some people live and die believing that there is only one and they don't master their lessons and they need to be held back, I believe that they should just be held back. Instead of being thrown into a world that is cruel and punishing. And they should be allowed to sit with their creation, whatever that is, wherever they're at, whatever level they're at. So if they are creating hell and mayhem, they should be able to live it out, to see the consequences of that creation, not just die 100 years after running a big company like DuPont and hiding all of the pollution and the chemical disasters on unsuspecting people. Many parts of the world, supposedly, allegedly. And that company is not even unique with their cover-ups of the abuse of ecology and human biology, knowing that PFAS, PFAs were building in human samples, that their lab data was reflecting toxicity, that factory workers exposed to their contaminants were birthing deformed children. They knew this for decades. While reporting to the EPA, everything's fine. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. And a lot of those executives now are passing away, slipping into where? Non-existence, depending on your belief system, slipping into a hell realm, a beast realm, hungry ghost realm. I actually think they should stick around and see the effects that they had on their grandchildren and their grandchildren's children. I actually believe that would be more impactful in understanding the weight of their decision that they weren't able to intellectually process at that time. For what? An extra bonus? Really? To impact generations and generations and generations of not only people, but animals and plants. Because the whole thing about PFAS is that it accumulates. It's a forever chemical. They don't even get to see their creation in the world as it's designed. They don't get to live it. The devastation to the planet, to the water, to our bodies. And then they slip away into a hell-like existence and have no memory. How is that learning? So when we are entrenched with this belief that there is only one life, it creates its own form of suffering and disadvantages, in my personal opinion, because the life cycle here for us is getting shorter. Young people are getting cancer at astonishing rates, even children. We used to think it was an old person disease because we didn't understand epigenetics and how chemicals were interacting with our genes and creating mutations at such a rapid, profound level. But there's no evidence. Don't worry, FDA, there's no evidence that this is harmful. Diluting their responsibility and accountability in our world. And so this one world, one life, one version, to me personally, especially having the experience of awakening to multi-dimensionality, awakening to quantum shifting, and I'm not the only teacher. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a notable one who started teaching well before me when I was still discovering, apparently. He was out there teaching in his world, and others. And so there's a small cohort of us that for whatever reason, our biology, our sensory system, our mindset, we can handle processing more than one reality. And we see the Mandela effect as an indication that something is going on. course, when we are operating with the perspective and the belief that there is only one and can only be one, and this is right and this is wrong, and all that does is that locks us in. And for many people, that is their path, to be locked in. And I've learned that they can't hold a different perspective. Their brain literally will not let them hold anything except for the truth that they are subscribed to, that they're indoctrinated with. And it's best to let them be. But for others who are awakening to multi-dimensionality, you have choices. And I believe that this is part of your fundamental right as a sovereign being, that no matter where you're at, no matter what the world is doing, singular, no matter who the holders are, you have sovereignty. And you have free will. And you have the right to say no. You have a right to create exactly what you want to create. And you have a right to protect yourself and your family and your loved ones. But with the understanding that sometimes you have to go alone. That you can't create for other people unless they consent. And this was a mistake that I made early in my awakening, because I grew up Christian. And I was like, even though I was an atheist, it still instilled inside of me, don't worry, I'm going to go and convert you and you're going to go to my heaven. Lord, help me. Let them see the light. Please, Jesus. I beg you. You have to understand that everybody has a right to their own belief system. Everybody has a right to exercise their free will and to elect to sign up for whatever they resonate with. And that means some people are going to hell. And I don't believe they should be saved. I believe they should witness the totality of their manifestation in its pure, unbridled form, with all of their memories intact, with their identity intact, and they should see their impact and have the choice along the way to revise their manifestation. To choose with a greater understanding once they start to process the consequences of their action or actions, particularly as it starts to unfold. And once you recognize that you have options, and if you're not there yet, it's okay. Stay along for the journey, because I talk at multiple levels. And at some point, something's going to click for you. and you're going to start to see things differently. That's what awakening is. It's an expansion of your understanding and a revision of the way you see. The way you see yourself, the way you see the world, the way you see systems and beliefs, the way you see money, the way you see other people, the way you see animals, the way you see insects, the way you see AI, the way you see plants. All of it changes when you really start to awaken. And people go at different rates, so you have to allow them space. And perhaps you're just one little seed, and somebody comes behind you with your friends and your family, and they water. And somebody else comes and they put a little bit of fertilizer in there. And somebody else comes and they put a little mulch. And then roots silently take place. There is no change on the outside, but roots are starting to grow. And over time, a beautiful plant will peak above the soil, if there's soil there. And it will transform. And so when we're going alone, what this looks like is planting a seed and walking away and letting people be responsible for their creations and their manifestations. It is honoring their journey, honoring their process, and believing them when they say, I want to subscribe to this life, to this protocol, to this belief system. I'm choosing, and not choosing is a choice. And when you open yourself up to quantum shifting, you open yourself up to the possibility that you will meet your friends and your family. I've seen it. I'm in the process of it. Different versions of them, more awake versions of them. I literally have a more awake version of my family and a nurturing relationship that where I started I thought was impossible. And it's just getting better and better and better. And so when you allow yourself to let go, when you heal the past, don't be surprised if your memories of people start to change. And I talk about how to go through this process more in my EC by Dr. C private playlist. The link is in the description if you feel called. Your memories, your experiences of people will change and shift as you also change and shift. Isn't that interesting? So when you're not afraid to go it alone, what you find sometimes, again, they have to sign up for this. They have to meet you on the other side. There has to be a potential of them that exists where you can access them, right? It all exists somewhere, but you need to be in close enough proximity, energetically, intellectually, societally, to match with them. And on the other side, you might have exactly what you're visualizing if you would just let go.